What's up, my fellow geeks? In today's video, I'm going to discuss 5 steps you can take today to improve your miniature painting. This video is for rookies alone, so if you're already fully immersed in the world of miniature painting, move along. Very recently, I myself went from wishing I could paint miniatures to now being happy with the results I'm getting, seeing progress with almost every model, and painting every day. These next 5 steps are the exact reason why I'm seeing improvement, and if you follow these steps, you'll be getting tabletop standard results fairly quick. Step number 1, social media. There's an endless amount of resources online that you can find, which wasn't available when I was a kid. For me, I would have to go to Games Workshop and learn from the people that work there and paint with them, or just fumble around with friends and experiment. Nowadays, go online and there's an infinite amount of resources. I find that Instagram is great for inspiration. There's a ton of pictures on there and cool ideas you can look at that'll inspire you. I find Facebook is great for discussion. It's quite positive on there, and there's no anonymous comments. You know the people you're talking to, so that helps. And I find YouTube is best for instructional videos. My 3 favorite YouTubers are Miniac, Black Magic Craft, and Tabletop Minions. Step number 2, you're going to want to buy or build yourself a wet palette. A wet palette is going to help because you want to thin down your paints, and thinning your paints will give you a much smoother finish on your models, and the paint's going to be a lot easier to work with. It's not going to dry as fast. You could always just go buy a wet palette from a hobby store, arts and crafts store, or like me, you can build one. It's pretty easy. You just use a Tupperware container or something to hold water, put a couple sponges down to absorb the water, and then put a piece of parchment paper, like a baking sheet, on top, and you've just built a wet palette. You want to use parchment paper, not wax paper, because wax paper will have a waxy finish on it that won't allow water to seep through and hydrate your paints. I like to use a container that you can close, because then when you're done painting, you can close it up and your paints will stay hydrated for a very long time. Step number 3, stop buying models until you've painted the models that you do have. If you keep buying more and more models, you're going to start feeling overwhelmed, you're going to feel like you're not making progress, and when you're just starting off in the hobby and learning how to paint, you shouldn't be spending a whole lot of money. Pretty simple. Step number 4, this has helped me not only in this hobby, but in every aspect of life. Try to have patience, both in the short term and the long term. You're not going to have a model painted in 20 minutes, and you're not going to have a complete army painted in a couple months. Give yourself time to enjoy the journey, not the destination. This is a hobby after all, so it's meant to be fun, it's meant to be a pastime. Learn, grow, experiment, fail. Just keep painting, have patience, and you will get better. Step number 5, this is the final step we all need to take, and that's practice, practice, practice. Like anything in life, you're not going to get better by just thinking about it. You got to jump in and get your hands dirty. I recommend 3 techniques for you to practice as a rookie. Number 1 is edge highlighting. This is the process of brightening or highlighting the edges of your model. Technique number 2 is ink washing. That is the process of darkening the recesses of your model by washing it over with an ink or just a certain area of the model with an ink. Inks are very watered down paints, and the ink falls into all the recesses. And the 3rd technique is dry brushing. This is having a fairly large brush, loading it up with the paint that you want, rubbing off most of the paint on a paper towel, and then lightly going over the model or the area of the model that you want to dry brush, and the paint is only going to hit the raised edges of the model. It's very good for things like fur or grass or texturing. So practice those 3 techniques and you're going to see it's going to help the overall look of your models. To anyone just starting off in the hobby, I highly recommend you follow those 5 steps. Until I started doing those things, I would always feel frustrated and overwhelmed, and I felt like I wasn't making any progress. Once I started following those steps, I really fell in love with the art of miniature painting. Well, that's all for today, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me, and don't forget to keep it geeky.